In this Revit tutorial, I'm going to talk about levels. When you open up a architectural template, you're given fairly little information. If I look in the project browser, you'll see that under floor plans, for example, I have level 1 and level 2, ceiling plans, level 1, level 2, and that's it. Well, if I wanted to create some sort of structure that has more than 2 levels, I actually need to go into a view to create those levels. You'll find the Levels tool on the Architecture tab on the ribbon way off to the right under the Datum Elements panel. Now you'll see right now I happen to be in a floor plan view, but my ability to pick levels isn't there. It's all grayed out. Well, to actually create levels, you have to go into a side view, basically, so an elevation view. I'm going to come over to my project browser and use the scroll bar here to scroll down, and you'll see that underneath floor plans and ceiling plans are my 4 elevation views. Those 4 elevation views, east, north, south, and west, are from these 4 elevation markers or cameras that are in my drawing space. To add a level, I can pick basically any one of these views. So I'll pick my east view. You activate a view by double clicking on it in the project browser, and you know it's active when it's bold. Remember that if you just highlight a word over here, it doesn't actually change it. You have to double click on it to make it the active view on your screen. Now I am actively in my east elevation view. I'm just going to pan over, and I can see here that I have 2 levels, and the few demo walls that I have up here are actually taller than that. Okay, so if I just scroll in, you'll see that level 1 is at 0 feet 0 inches, so we kind of assume that to be the ground plane at this point. And level 2 is at 10 feet 0 inches. So I basically have about 10 feet from the floor on level 1 to the floor on level 2. Let's say I wanted to add a 3rd floor to my building. I'm just going to zoom out a little bit. What I can do now is on the Architecture tab, come over to the Datum panel, and you'll see that I'm now able to actually pick level. The shortcut would be LL. When I pick level, the Modify Place Level Contextual Tab appears. So whenever you actually pick a tool that you're going to work with, whether it's making a wall or a level in this case, you get a contextual tab up at the top. You'll see that I really only have 2 ways that I can draw a level, either by creating a line or by picking an existing line. Those are really my 2 options. I'm just going to draw a line. Now, when you have a contextual tab like this, you'll get a thin contextual ribbon here that gives you some options as well. It's telling me that I'm again modifying or placing a level. And then here I have a little box with a check mark in it. It says Make Plan View. Now, it's by default wanting to give me a new floor plan and ceiling plan view along with this level. I'm going to keep that. If that's not something you wanted for one reason or another, you wouldn't have to keep it. But generally, it's pretty common to actually want a floor plan view that goes along with your level. So I'll keep that on. You'll see that you can also offset it from where you're drawing a certain distance. I'm not going to do that, but it would be an option if I wanted to pick a line but have it offset from that line. That would be something I could do. So right now I'm just going to draw one in. And I'm just going to come over, and you'll see that when you have this active, Revit really wants to help you. Okay, so it wants to line things up for you in as many directions as possible. So right now, when I hover over the end here, it's really wanting to line that up. It's giving me that blue dotted line. That means they'll be perfectly in line. If I come up towards the top where my walls are ending, it wants to line it up here as well. So if I let it where that X joins those 2 lines, that means that my level line will be right in line with that. And if I make my way over here, I can end it right there, and now they're all in line. I'm just going to hit Escape twice to get out of that just so we can look at it. Now you'll see that that's all lined up very nicely. It might not be the case that I wanted those to line up so neatly, or it might be the case that I want to put in several, or I don't want to have to think about it so much. So if I just wanted to do that again, what I can do is just click on this level and I can just hit the delete key. When I hit delete, it will say view level 3 will be deleted. It's warning you that you're going to be getting rid of not only this level, but the floor plans and things that are going along with it. And right now I'm just going to say, okay, that's fine. So I'm going to come back in, put in level, and if I wanted to, I could be sloppier about it and not worry about those things lining up so much. That's really not a big deal. So right now you can see that I have my next level in place and I can actually activate it. So if I'm not in the level creation, if I just hit escape twice, or if I come over to the left to the modify button that's always on the ribbon, I can come in and click on my new level line. Then I can simply come in, grab that gripper and actually move it over. Come over here and do the same thing. So it's not stuck in place once you create it. You can come in and very easily change these and move them around. I can even grab it and just use move and move it up, down, all around. Very, very easily. You'll see a few things have happened once I put this level in. First, I once again allowed it to be named just level 1, 2, and so on. So since I deleted level 3, this one automatically came in at level 4. That's okay. I can easily rename it or just leave it like that if I want. You'll see that over in the project browser, if I scroll up, I now have floor plans level 1, 2, 4, and ceiling plan level 1, 2, 4. If I wanted to come in and change that name, let's say I want it to be level 3, I can simply click on the word level 4, get in there, change it to a 3, and click outside of it. When you do that, Revit's going to warn you and ask you, would you like to rename the corresponding views? That means these floor plan and ceiling plans, would I like to rename them? If I don't, that might get a little bit confusing, so I will say yes. And when I do, you'll see that it's now 1, 2, 3 and 1, 2, 3. I'm just going to back up a little bit. Okay. You'll also see if I click on one of my levels, I get what are called temporary dimensions, and this will vary depending on what item you have selected and its proximity to other objects. So right here it's telling me that the distance between level 2 and level 3 is 23 feet. That makes sense because if I look here, level 2 is at 10 feet and level 3 is at 33 feet. If I want to move the levels up or down, if I want to change the space in between, I can do that in different ways. When I have one of these levels activated, I can actually click inside of that temporary dimension, change that number, and that level will move accordingly. When you're changing temporary dimensions, it's very important to keep in mind what you want to move. The object that you have selected, the object you have highlighted in blue, is the object that will move, that will be driven based on what this number is. So if I have this top one and I change this, instead of saying 23 feet, if I make that say, for example, 15 feet, enter, that level line has now moved down, so it's exactly 15 feet between level 2 and level 3. If I zoom in a little bit and take a look, level 2 is at 10 and level 3 is at 25. That makes sense. I can move objects by their temporary dimensions, or I can go into the level in this particular case and change this measurement here. So instead of being 25 feet off of the ground, so it means from 0 it's up 25 feet, if I change that number, let's say to 30, enter, now it will move up. And if I look, the temporary dimension reflects that change. So there's a lot of different options and ways of working in Revit. Note, when I typed in the measurement, I only had to type in 30, enter. Revit defaults to feet. If you want to say inches, then you actually need to use the inches marks. Okay, so now I have 3 different levels in place. And you also see that as we're looking at it, the labels and the numbers are only on the right side right now. That's because if I have one highlighted, the box is checked right here. If I uncheck that and get away from it, I can actually turn off those labels and those markers. If I highlight that line, I can actually turn them on the opposite side. So that's very flexible. So that's really the basics of putting in a level and creating more possible floor plans and ceiling plans within your model, and how you can move them around, and a basic introduction of how you can use temporary dimensions.